moneyradio.com. I'm Amanda Sutphin.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and it must be Friday. And of course, indeed it is. It's Friday, November 16th. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park Money Radio Studios, 1510 AM, 105.3 FM, and moneyradio1510.com. I wanted to share with you, if you've not tuned in the show before, our show is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. How do we do that? Quite simply, we're able to do that by bringing extraordinary guests here to the show. And today is no different. I have an extraordinary guest sitting right across from me, a guy who's become a very good friend. His name is Dr. Ben Bobrow. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Bob. Thanks. So happy to be here.
It's good to have you back. Ben, you do so many things. And, I had you here last, I think it was in August of 2017. So it's hard to believe it's been 14 months since you've been here.
I know.
But
I've aged, but you haven't.
You're very kind. My hair is grayer and less of it.
I have less of it.
But I will say, when you were on before, we were talking about thepainproject.com, and that's something that's near and dear to you. We were talking about how the Pain Project really came to be. I want to spend just a little time on that. I know it's a passion of yours. It's a passion of not only our state, but our countries, too, this opioid epidemic. But, for our listening audience, you do a lot of different things. You work within the Banner system. You do a lot of traveling around the world, healing the world. You're involved in a lot of things. So for our listening audience, to give them perspective of what and who Dr. Ben Bobrow is, if you wouldn't mind, just call it about a minute and a half to share. Can you do that?
I can definitely do that. I can do it a lot shorter than that. So by training, I'm an emergency physician. So I've worked in emergency medicine for 25 years now. But really the last good 15 years, I've gotten really interested in public health and helping develop systems of care for people that have medical problems. So originally was really my research career was around developing systems of care for people that had acute emergencies like heart attack or even cardiac arrest or acute stroke and trauma. And so that's kind of what I really focused on. But the last several years, I've become more and more interested in helping develop systems of care around other medical issues and maybe more chronic medical problems. We're doing amazing stuff in medicine, improving life and saving lives. Cancer treatments are unbelievable, but we're still, in my view, where we're falling short is in helping people manage chronic medical conditions, the sort of the everyday stuff, the high blood pressure, diabetes, congestive heart failure. Those really are the things that we're, not just in my view, but really the data show we're not making huge strides forward. And I think part of the issue is we have to start to think about how we can better engage people and motivate people, because really in the end people have to take ownership and charge of their own health and wellness, and not just physical health and wellness, but their mental health and wellness. And so those are some of the things I'm really interested in. But I'm actually fascinated. I know I want to hear about this Aging 2.0 conference.
Yeah, I just, for our listening audience, I've talked about it before. I just got back from San Francisco. This was their 5th, I believe. It could have been their 6th annual conference. And Aging 2.0 is basically a curator platform for innovation and technology coming into the aging space. So what we're trying to do is try to solve some of the aging issues that you're talking about, utilizing the great minds that reside there in the Silicon Valley that have brought us things like Facebook, Uber, Apple, and use some innovation and technology. One of the things that we know is that we are definitely having a human capital shortage, and that we just are not graduating enough doctors from medical school, nurses from nursing schools, CNAs from CNA schools, caregivers, people wanting to get in the healthcare profession. So if you're listening in right now and you are interested in a career, healthcare is the future. And even if we got more people getting in, we are aging at such a rapid rate, we need to rely on innovation and technology. And there are some things that are being created that are just so amazing. When I tell you that we've got these young minds that are figuring out how to predict the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's by doing eye exams, by doing speech exams, it is unbelievable. I mean, you know, with 89 to 90% certainty, especially with the eyes, they can tell you whether or not you are predisposed to dementia or Alzheimer's. So these
exciting.
It is. It's really, really exciting. I mean, obviously, social robots were presented. Most of these people, these young minds that are really getting behind this, have a personal story. Not too dissimilar from mine, and many of our listening audience know this. I'm in the caregiving space because I was a caregiver for my mother. A lot of these young people found themselves in a role of being a caregiver, or maybe they were a cancer survivor and said, hey, there needs to be a better way.
But I just want to tell you, I love what you've done and what you're continuing to do, which is to help disseminate, accurate information and to help push these agendas forward, and that's really what we need. We need more champions like doing exactly what you're doing.
Well, thank you. And what's great is, look, ASU sits right in our backyard, and their engineering school has an entrepreneurship program.
Sensational.
Innovation is happening right before us. I had a chance when we did our startup challenge a couple of years ago. We combined their startup challenge. They called it the Desert Devil Challenge. And we had the Aging 2.0 startup challenge, and we were over at SkySong, and they allowed us to present our winners with their group. They had over 800 students there, and I'm telling you, the energy was palpable in that room. 800 students were in there, and they were all, let's say, 18, 19 to 21, 22 years old, and they were all pitching. Not all, but many were pitching. There were 16 people pitching for grand prizes that were big dollars. So the woman that was running the program, I happened to know her, Jimmy Choi. She asked me if I was representing Aging 2.0. I said yes, and she said, do you want to go first? And I said, sure, I would love to go first. And I said, how much time do I have? And she said, how much time do you want? And I said, well, be careful what you ask for. And I said, 10, 15 minutes? And she said, sure. And I got a chance to speak to these students. And I polled them, and I asked them, of the 16 people that were pitching at the Desert Devil event, how many of them pitched something that would work or help aging in place, help older adults? And it was the big goose egg, 0. And I told them, I said, look, this is what we need. We need you and your innovative minds to come up with ideas that can help people age successfully. And they're working on it, and everybody's working on it. And the buzz that was happening in San Francisco was amazing. Really, truly amazing.
That's great. Taking some of these ideas and sort of, morphing them and thinking about how to apply them to different different populations and different people and in different circumstances.
Well, the interesting thing is just the sheer amount of information that we have now at our fingertips, and really it's about data and predictive analytics, and we're still getting more and more data. So if our listening audience could listen to this and visualize this, a funnel of data coming in, and as you mentioned, diabetes, CHF, COPD. So you put in that funnel the specific healthcare challenges that an individual has, their age, demographical information, and you drop that in the funnel in terms of what their outcomes are. In the future, we'll be able to take a look at a white male who's 54 years old who presents the following issues. We can almost predict what those outcomes are going to be and get ahead of the game and start treatment so that they can avoid that outcome.
You can anticipate a lot of it.
Which is amazing. I mean, you think about the data. So we have technology guys that are data junkies. So if you're putting all that in the funnel, you can do better in terms of developing a care plan to prevent whatever the challenge is.
It's good data.
It's good data. And this is a really good tune. I think it's, Joe Walsh, right? Yeah. Wes, which one is this one?
Life's been good.
Life has been good.
Remember that.
Yes. And, we're going to talk about life being good when you come back for our second segment. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I've got Dr. Ben Bobrow here in the studio. We're down one segment, Ben. We got 3 more to go. Life's been good so far.
Sure.
We'll be right back.
Join certified financial planner Nancy Fleming this and every Wednesday afternoon as she joins me for Financial Review. Nancy and I discuss an array of topics from Social Security, taxes, to what types of obstacles you can and will face in retirement. So join Nancy every Wednesday afternoon at 4:35 for the Financial Review. Want more, Nancy? Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for My Smart Retirement, right here on Money Radio.
Hey, this is Corey Schuyler from Core Fitness. I'm looking for 15 local guys who are looking to dramatically transform their bodies and energy in 12 weeks. Here's the deal. Once a quarter, we take on 15 new guys to partake in our most intensive transformation program. This is not a cardio plan or some foo-foo juice cleanse or starvation diet. You're going to eat to gain muscle and melt away the love handles. You're going to train like you mean it. You're going to make friends and enjoy the process. It's 12 weeks after all. This isn't a quick fix, but in 12 weeks, you'll be amazed at the results. If you're a highly motivated man who is not broke, just check out some of the transformations at corefitnessarizona.com. What you'll get with the program: personal custom meal plan, personal grocery list, personal food prep instructions, 42 done-for-you recipes, personal accountability coach, 3 cutting-edge workouts per week with me at the gym, world-class online support, and much, much more. That being said, this is for motivated men only. If you've gotten to that point where enough's enough, we'd love to have you. Once again, go to corefitnessarizona.com, sign up, and I'll see you there.
I used to post to job boards that sent me tons of resumes.
Just to find a few people who were right for my job.
That old process was not smart.
Then I went to ZipRecruiter.
Its technology scans resumes for me to find the right people.
And actively invites them to apply. So I get qualified candidates fast. Smart.
See why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. Try it now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter. The smartest way to hire. Based on Trustpilot rating of hiring sites with over 1,000 reviews.
Check out the newest podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's Megan Crane, a weekly conversation about top political issues ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Available on Apple Podcasts.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and I got Dr. Ben Bobrow here in the studio. We're on segment number 2, and if you missed the first one, go right up to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button. Drop down, third button down is the radio show, and I've got about 240 that we've been bringing to you for the last 5 years. And Ben has been on the show before, and like I said when we kicked things off, he is a master of a lot of things and really trying to make aging and wellness a key cornerstone or keystone of what we do every single day. You know, sick care is really what healthcare has been known for. And, you know, Ben, you know, we need to figure out how to really make healthcare and people to take control of their lives and their healthcare.
Yeah, for sure. Our model has really evolved into this. Traditionally, it's been this you're broken and someone needs to fix you kind of model.
Right.
And we know it just doesn't work like that. And not only doesn't work, but it's breaking the bank. You know, our healthcare, we have by far the most expensive healthcare per person in the world. And if you look at our healthcare outcomes as a country, like on the World Health Organization, WHO website, I think last time I looked, we're like number 36 in outcomes, just behind Cuba.
That is sad.
So again, we have these great, high-tech technologies. They're not always exactly what we need, and we still are struggling on how to help people really take control and optimally manage some of these really important health issues.
You know, you talked about some autoimmune issues in the first segment, especially autoimmune issues like diabetes. And, diabetes is a horrible illness and something that, some are genetically disposed to, but we have so many that have type 2, and it is just from really not taking care of themselves and eating all the wrong things and not exercising, and next thing you know...
It's in large part a disease of lifestyle, in large part. Not completely, but in large part.
In a large part, and you trip that switch in your autoimmune, you can't turn that back off. You've become dependent, and lots of times insulin dependent, and diabetes affects all your organs, every single part of your body. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. I want to go back just real quickly to Aging 2.0. I'm still buzzing from this. I mean, it was really exciting. One of the things you had asked me at the break, what did I really, what was some of the technology you saw? And there was a virtual reality piece that I saw. This one company has come up with a concept to use virtual reality, not so much for an older adult, although there was some VR companies that were using it to help older adults with maybe memory issues, they mobility issues where they could put the VR lenses on and be dropped into a place where they grew up. I mean, these Google Maps are so detailed that they have Google has mapped out the ocean floor too. So you can go underwater, too, and see, fascinating, fish and animals, and you feel like you're there. And as cool as that was, for me, we run a home care agency, and I found what was really interesting was the VR, virtual reality, for caregiver training. And, they would drop you into a setting where somebody does have dementia, and you felt like you were that person that was dementia, and you could see the daughter and granddaughter or grandson interacting with you, and you could see the challenges that a dementia person may be undergoing.
Yeah, very realistic.
Very
I know
realistic.
they're using virtual reality a lot in medical training for medical professionals, nurses, doctors, paramedics, things like that.
And just amazing stuff. And, one of the things that you did bring up, too, when you kicked off your segment, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but every time I go to San Francisco, the thing that it really challenges me most is that we as a society have to do better. The amount of homeless people that are on the streets in San Francisco and how many homeless that have behavioral health issues that are sitting on the streets. The city has to figure out a way to get help for these people.
So I have to chime in on that.
All right, please do.
So I know we're going a little off script, but so Oakland, California.
I flew out of there last night.
Yes. So it just so happened that my brother-in-law, Saeed, ran for mayor of Oakland.
Did he win?
He did not win.
No.
But he did very well, and the focus of his campaign was on trying to improve the homeless situation in Oakland. That was the focus of his campaign. And part of his pledge was that he would spend 2 nights a week in a homeless shelter and dedicate half of his salary as the mayor to the homeless cause.
Wow.
So it's such a big problem in that area.
It is such a big problem.
Even though he didn't win, I was really proud of him, and that's why he really wanted that position.
You know, and you think about just here in our state, the U.S. senatorial race, and Kyrsten Sinema, you know, she made history. I mean, she's the first woman U.S. senator ever in our state, and that in itself is a huge feat. And either way, we were going to have that happen. But I want to just touch upon the negative advertising and the amount of money that was spent. And I know that Senator McCain, and I tried to stay away from politics here on the show, but I know our great Senator McCain was working on campaign finance reform to prevent a lot of the stuff that was going on. And the negative ads, if you think about the tens of millions of dollars that were spent on that, and if you could have redirected those funds and put them here in our town, especially in Phoenix, and put that money into the food bank, put it into the homeless shelters, I mean, how much better our state and our city and our country would be if we could use and redirect those kind of monies.
For sure.
For sure. So you sent me an article, and you wanted me to read it, and I know you have it in front of you, and it was something that was published by the Harvard Gazette, and it was really, you know, it was under the health and medicine sector, and it says, "Good genes are nice, but joy is better." That was the headline. And it's a Harvard study, almost 80 years old, has proven that embracing community helps us live longer and be happier. And that's really the premise of our show here, is to bring great content to our listening audience so that they can help their loved ones live a healthier, happier life.
Well, to be honest with you, Bob, I was pretty sure you were going to email me right back and say, "Oh yeah, Ben, we've talked about that 100 times. Don't bring that again." You know, and it's a fascinating. It's not just a study like we think about a single study. It's an ongoing, what's called a longitudinal study. It's the largest, longest study of its kind in the world. And it actually dates back to, started in 1938, so the year my dad was born. And what they did and continue to do, which is so fascinating, is they track people and their lives, and not just how long they live, but what happened to them, and all kinds of different things. And so I know we're going to go to break, but I actually want to talk about some of the really fascinating findings from this 80-year-old study that's ongoing.
80-year-old study, and there are 19 that are still alive, and they're in their mid-90s now.
Yes, from the original cohort of 268.
268. It just blows me away, and I mean, we're now getting the data.
But it's fascinating. It'll surprise you what some of the findings were.
Are you going to give that to us on the third segment?
When you come back.
All right, fantastic. We're halftime here at Health Futures. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I've got Dr. Ben Bobrow here in the studio. Halftime here from the Scottsdale studios of Money Radio. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
President Trump says he has personally written the responses to questions from the Mueller Russia investigation, though he has not submitted his responses yet. But he called the probe again a waste.
There should have never been any Mueller investigation because there was never anything done wrong. There was no collusion. There never has been. You would have known about it a long time ago if there was. There was nothing. They should have never had it. They've wasted millions and millions of dollars.
Trump says the White House is writing up rules and regulations for reporters after a judge ordered his administration to restore their credentials for CNN reporter Jim Acosta. North Korean state media report the successful test of a newly developed ultra-modern weapon. The claim comes amid faltering nuclear disarmament negotiations with the United States. A tragic first in Holland. Doctors say a 19-year-old has died after inhaling deodorant spray to get high. The Dow up more than 70. I'm Mike Moss.
There's Black Friday, and then there's Pro Black Friday at the Home Depot. Special savings for pros on pro-grade brands to get the job done right. This Pro Black Friday, Pro Extra members get 25% off Behr Premium Plus interior and exterior paint. It's paint and primer in one that works just as well on uncoated surfaces as it does on painted surfaces. The best prices of the season for pros are at Pro Black Friday, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through November 18th, U.S. only.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
If you can get a signal on your smartphone, then you can listen live to Money Radio. Download our app for free and never miss a moment of the great advice.
Join certified financial planner Nancy Fleming this and every Wednesday afternoon as she joins me for Financial Review. Nancy and I discuss an array of topics from Social Security, taxes, to what types of obstacles you can and will face in retirement. So join Nancy every Wednesday afternoon at 4:35 for the Financial Review. Want more, Nancy? Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for My Smart Retirement, right here on Money Radio.
Hey, this is Corey Schuyler from Core Fitness. I'm looking for 15 local guys who are looking to dramatically transform their bodies and energy in 12 weeks. Here's the deal. Once a quarter, we take on 15 new guys to partake in our most intensive transformation program. This is not a cardio plan or some foo-foo juice cleanse or starvation diet. You're going to eat to gain muscle and melt away the love handles. You're going to train like you mean it. You're going to make friends and enjoy the process. It's 12 weeks after all. This isn't a quick fix, but in 12 weeks, you'll be amazed at the results. If you're a highly motivated man who is not broke, just check out some of the transformations at CoreFitnessArizona.com. What you'll get with the program: personal custom meal plan, personal grocery list, personal food prep instructions, 42 done-for-you recipes, personal accountability coach, 3 cutting-edge workouts per week with me at the gym, world-class online support, and much, much more. That being said, this is for motivated men only. If you've gotten to that point where enough's enough, we'd love to have you. Once again, go to CoreFitnessArizona.com, sign up, and I'll see you there.
Are you purchasing a home or looking to refinance? Confused about mortgages or the process of getting a mortgage? You're in luck. Joe Capitano, Senior Vice President with Homeowners Financial Group, will bring his 27 years of experience specifically to coach and educate you. Listen every Wednesday at 1 p.m. for his extensive knowledge in terms you will understand. Welcome Joe and the JoeLoans.com Hour. Online at JoeLoans.com. That's JoeLoans.com.
Ready for a bad cold and flu season? The best way to tell is flu brings fever, so be prepared with a thermometer you can trust. The Exergen Temporal Scanner, backed by more than 70 clinical studies.
I'm Jim Chesko with Your Money Now. Viacom says its adjusted fiscal fourth quarter earnings were equal to 99 cents a share, while revenue rose slightly to just under $3.5 billion. Both figures topped analyst forecasts. Revenue from the media giant's Paramount Pictures film unit soared 25%, boosted by movies including Mission Impossible Fallout. Viacom also announced a multi-picture film deal with Netflix. Viacom shares today are up 3.5%. Shares of Nordstrom are taking a big hit today. Friday, down 13%. The retailer said a number of Nordstrom credit card holders with delinquent accounts had been improperly charged higher interest rates and will be issued refunds averaging nearly $100 apiece. Nordstrom took a one-time charge related to the situation that reduced its quarterly net income by 42%. Checking the major Wall Street numbers, the Dow Industrial's up 95 points, the S&P is up 1. The Nasdaq Composite, however, down 32. Oil futures are flat near the close. That's Your Money Now.
Life is all about choices. Cars, shoes, appliances, pretty much everything you buy. And when it comes to life insurance, SelectQuote offers you a choice of your best prices from up to 10 life insurance companies and over 100 different policies. So you not only get the perfect life insurance for your needs, you'll probably save hundreds of dollars in the bargain. Kevin is 39. He controls his blood pressure with meds, but is in good health. SelectQuote got him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $28 a month. SelectQuote. It's all about choices.
To see how affordable life insurance can be for you, go to SelectQuote.com or call 1-800-970-3311. That's 1-800-970-3311. 1-800-970-3311. Over 1 million people know we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And I've got Dr. Ben Bobrow here in the studio, and we got a little bit of the cars taking us into the second half of our segment.
Is it just what you needed?
It's just what I needed.
Right. Good.
Thank you. Thank you. If you're just tuning in, you can find our first two segments up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Health Futures is a show about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And we were talking about this Harvard study that was put out, and it was put out in the Harvard Gazette. It's called Good Genes Are Nice, but Joy is Better. Harvard study, almost 80 years old, has proven that embracing community helps us live longer and be happier, which happens to coincide with our theme to our show, how to live a healthier, happier lifestyle.
That's why, Bob, I think you're saving lives.
I
know you are.
I hope I am, but I will tell you, you're the one that brought this to me. I briefly read over it. I think you are a little more knowledgeable about what the findings were, and you started talking about some of those findings. How many people were in the survey?
Originally, in 1938, I think there were 268 people, and
there are 19 that are
19
still alive
are
today.
still alive today. Interesting, I think in the original cohort of people were some famous people like John F. Kennedy was one of the people that was originally in the study. And so what they did is they studied and surveyed these people every year, and they continue to do this, and they're actually studying their children, which is many more people. But some of the findings, it is an ongoing thing, but some of the things they found are fascinating. In the early parts of the study, they talked about in the 40s and 50s and 60s, they were talking about things that people were interested in then and thinking about more along the physical realm. So they were measuring your skulls and, measuring your body composition, your fat, taking, and then as they started to get more fancy imaging, they would take pictures of your brain, how big your brain was. And they were really focused on all these physical things. But then later on, like in the 70s and 80s, they started to ask questions about mental wellness. And one of the fascinating things they came up with was, yes, it's important. Your genes are important. It's important what you eat, for sure. We focus on that all the time. Do you smoke? Yes or no? These were things that predicted how long you would live, how well you would live, if you would have, early onset dementia or late onset dementia and had cognitive issues. If you drank too much, that was a predictor. But what trumped all of it was what kind of relationships you had.
Wow.
Which was fascinating. How you felt about your closest relationships, and were you in a secure relationship? And that was the most predictive of how people aged. If they went on to have long and healthy lives, or they had short lives, or they were very sick for a long time, or even if they developed dementia. It was predictive of that.
So fascinating. And, when you sit down and you think about this, about relationships, and you're talking about the greatest generation, because you'd said at the end of the second segment, your dad was born in 1938. My dad was 1936. And, many of the people in this generation, they understood relationships, and many of them stayed married, whether they were healthy or not. The baby boomers that we talked about earlier, not so much.
Yeah.
I mean, the divorce rates are through the roof. We have so many people today that are living home alone. So many have chosen not to have families and not to have children. And, one of the things, and I shared with you at the break, Dr. Joseph Coughlin from the MIT Age Lab, he talks about his social isolation and the fact that we have 1/3 of our population today is living home alone.
That's a real problem.
And in some places in this country, it is as high as 47, 48%, like in Atlanta, Georgia, Washington, D.C., Seattle, San Francisco. And Dr. Coughlin, he even talked about it at this programming I went to at Aging 2.0, because he was there. He said in places in Europe, it's as high as 65, 70%. And, here you are, you're keen on relationships, and we're talking about partnerships. Where you're cohabitating with somebody that you care about.
And it doesn't have, they go on to say, it's interesting, it doesn't have to be, like, it can't be, you never bicker. What they found is couples that, that even if they bickered some, that's okay. In fact, that's life. That's the reality of it.
That was my in-laws.
Yes. But they were, the people that did the best were in long-term committed relationships that they felt good about, they were happy about. And, it was just fascinating. And, they even go on to say in this study that they they come out and say loneliness kills.
It does.
It's a killer. And no one knows exactly why that is, but I suspect that, chronic loneliness causes all kinds of changes in your biochemistry. It certainly causes changes in your neurochemistry and in the hormones around your brain. We know that depression is one of the, really, really most dangerous comorbidities, and it gets back to what you and I were talking about, these chronic diseases, things like blood pressure and diabetes and chronic lung disease, and those things can lead to depression, and depression can worsen those things, and especially how depression ties in with how well people are able to manage those chronic things. And so it's really, they're all interrelated.
No, they are. And talk about living home alone and loneliness. They say that's the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Yes.
That is what it's doing to some of our most vulnerable that are out there.
And sometimes in popular culture, you'll see these kind of slogans that sort of insinuate, you just go it alone, just do it yourself, and be, there's sort of a push towards that. It's a bunch of bull. None of us can go it alone.
I know people that are able to take vacations by themselves. They're able to do things by themselves, but I love sharing it. Yeah. I am blessed to have been married 29 years to my partner and my best friend, and Susie and I do a lot together, and it's really nice to be able to do that with her. But I don't know how some couples just do separate vacations, and they go off skiing by themselves or go to visit Australia by themselves. I just
and I want to be clear. I want to be clear to the listeners that it doesn't necessarily have to be a spouse. I truly believe that not everybody's meant to be married.
True.
but just relationships, you can have close relationships of all different forms, and it doesn't even have to be a close family relationship. One of my mentors that I know look up to, Dr. Karl Hammerschlag, and he talks a lot about making the relationships are what you make them, and if you sort of don't have a relationship with someone in your family that is the way you want it to be, sometimes you can have that you can find that relationship in other places, and so. But it's what I want to say. It's not just a marriage, or a spouse. You can have all kinds of different meaningful and relationships that lead to happiness.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Dr. Hammerschlag. I haven't talked to him in a little while. How's he doing?
He's doing great, thank you. He's still out there, and he's a proponent for all these things we're talking about, and he's really been a great agent for change.
He's an amazing individual,
and
at 80,
almost 80,
right? Almost 80,
just about 80 himself.
Well, we're down 3 segments, Ben.
Okay.
You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. Stick around for the close. We'll be right back.
Hello, Phoenix. This is Chris Hill with The Motley Fool, inviting you to join me for Motley Fool Money every Saturday at 5 p.m. right here on the Southwest's longest-running financial talk station, Money Radio. Meanwhile, Monday through Friday, don't miss Mastering Money from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Kipling Air contributor Steve Jurich, the founder of IQ Wealth. Let Steve show you how to retire and stay retired. And now we are happy to join Steve on Mondays for Motley Fool Mondays. We'll see you there.
Been thinking about changing your cleaning service? Hi, I'm Mike from Service First Commercial Cleaning, the Money Radio cleaning guy. I'm a Money Radio listener just like you, and I always try to get the best return on my investments. Shouldn't you do the same when it comes to the cleaning of your workplace? Look, it's not rocket science, it's just cleaning, and it's either clean or not, right? At Service First, our philosophy is simple. Happy cleaner, happy client. We pay our cleaners top dollar to ensure they take ownership and are highly motivated to consistently do a great job. We are a full-service provider you can trust for all your commercial cleaning needs, including tile, carpet, and more. If you're ready to make a change to better service at a great price, call us at 480-264-4844. I'll meet with you personally to discuss your cleaning needs, and I'm happy to work within your budget. If you want to increase quality and reduce costs, call today. I'm Mike from Service First, the Money Radio cleaning guy, at 480-264-4844. That's 480-264-4844. You'll be glad you did.
Wherever you are this giving season, there's no better way to say Happy Holidays than with custom cards, calendars, and photo gifts from Vistaprint. And right now, you can get 50% off all holiday cards and calendars at Vistaprint.com. There are hundreds of our newest card designs to choose from. Or give a year's worth of joy by personalizing calendars full of unforgettable pictures. So get merry, get jolly, get 50% off all holiday cards and calendars. Plus, save on other photo gifts at Vistaprint.com. Just enter promo code HOLIDAY. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code HOLIDAY.
Ready for a bad cold and flu season? The best way to tell is flu brings fever, so be prepared with a thermometer you can trust. The Exergen Temporal Scanner, backed by more than 70 clinical studies.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you, and we're working for the weekend. Thank you very much, Wes. Lover boy, I always like closing our segments with that. If you're just tuning in, this is it. Our final segment. I got Dr. Ben Bobrow here in the studio, and I want to just pick up where we left off. And we were talking about community living, and really, you know, we are meant in our designs as Homo sapiens.
We're tribal.
We're tribal. Early man. We were meant to be together and work together, and we feed off of that. You know, I don't know if you know Dr. Ed Parent. Do you know Ed?
No.
He's a great guy and someone you should probably know. He's a gerontologist. He was on my show 4 years ago talking about how, you know, we crave human touch. We do. I mean, and we have older adults that are living by themselves, and they don't get a hug or a hand on the back or a handshake, sometimes as much as once a month. I mean, they go without that. we are meant to be together.
For sure.
We are meant to be together. So this study that we talked about is extraordinary.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. Again, I was sure you were going to say, "Oh, Ben, don't bring that. Don't talk about that stuff," because we talk about it all the time. I think this study, this type of, particularly this Harvard longitudinal study, should be common knowledge for everyone. But it's really not. You know, we advertise the sensational new drug that comes out, and everyone's that gets all the media and all the press, and yet they find that something like committed relationships significantly improves your longevity and the quality of your life, and we're all kind of ho-hum about it. I mean, I think everyone should take a recheck, a reevaluation of the relationships, almost like we're getting our blood pressure checked. It's probably that, it definitely is that important.
It is, and this article was really promoting this TED Talk.
Everybody should see it. I think it's at 13 million viewings already.
Robert Waldinger did this TED Talk, so it is the Harvard study.
It's only 10-12 minutes long. It's definitely worth your time.
And if you have a hard time finding it, you're welcome to contact me. You can email me at bobroth@cypresshomecare.com, and I'll send it over to you. So, Ben, what's the future look like for us? You have teenagers. I have young adults, and we've talked about it on this show about this digital disruption, meaning these devices that we have. And you and I were talking before about relationships, and we've been talking about here on the show and with your boys. Getting their time away from the screens and the relationships that they're having with individuals. And I remember talking to my daughter saying, "So have you talked to so-and-so lately?" And they would say, "Yeah, I just talked to them yesterday." And I said, "Did you have a phone conversation with them? Did you meet them in person, or did you text them?" "No, I text them." So we have a lot of one-way communications going. And I think we're missing something as a society. We're missing that engagement.
Yes, I don't think any of us know how the smartphone is going to impact how we age. I don't think we know yet. I mean, there's some data and some lines of thought that it actually would be good because people are so engaged. They're always doing these mental tasks, playing games, and doing all these psychomotor skill things. But I have to tell you, I'm concerned about the communication, the way communication goes. Yeah, I see my kids sitting at the table with their friends all together, and they're all on their phones texting each other. I mean, something is unheard. Nobody, like in our generation, we couldn't.
And you hope they're not texting each other.
No, they are.
They're texting each other.
They are
sitting
texting
right
each
across
other. Yeah, all the time. So
it's crazy. They're in these silos.
Yes, but also I'm hopeful. I mean, I think they're way smarter than us. I hope they figure things out quicker and better in solutions that we didn't maybe come up with. I'll be honest, you asked me what's in the future. I am concerned about our kids and our grandkids. I'm really concerned about the environment that we're leaving them. Yeah. That concern, I actually think about that at night.
I do too.
I think they're gonna figure it out, and it's gonna. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but they're gonna figure it out.
Well, the advent of technology has brought so much good, but yes. Again, it's definitely impacted the way we operate as human beings, and we're meant to be social. We're meant to be in groups. We're meant to, we need affirmation for the things that we do. We need relationships like this study talked about. As we get ready to close here, you see a lot, Ben. I mean, being an ER physician, being really passionate about managing pain and not using these extraordinary drugs that are out there. What is your view of where we're going forward, absent of the technology stuff? I'm talking healthcare and what does the future look like for us?
Healthcare is incredibly exciting. Again, we're knocking it out of the park on some of the technology things, but on some of the individual patient engagement things, I think we have to figure out how technology can help us do that. How can technology help engage? It doesn't even have to be doctors or nurses. It can be almost like coaches, people that can help coach and encourage and get people. We all run into ruts and help people sort of get over hurdles and get back on track, and that's really what we need. How can you help people with self-efficacy, have people, motivate people to take good care of themselves and get it. Sleep is another key thing you and I talk about a lot. And that of course is integrated and is affected by the smartphone.
Sure.
I think the smartphone has adversely affected people's sleep. We know that too much screen time, especially certain wavelengths of light late at night, trick your brain into thinking it should not be tired. So there's a lot of complex things. So it's not just technology. It's how do we use technology to help make our lives better, engage people, and make people live not just longer but better.
Live better, be happier. And I will tell you this, I'm encouraged where some of the health systems and the health plans are going. We talked about value-based care. I'm about to enter into 2 serious programs, and one of them is with the health system where we're talking about transitionary care. Those that have major morbidity issues might be living home alone. And we want to make sure, the health system wants to make sure that they can get from that acute setting back home successfully and then be able to live there successfully without coming back in for a readmission. So I think, health systems, health plans are really thinking about how can we do this better? How can we do it smarter? We know 2 things. We know the most desired place one wants to be is in their home.
Yes.
And we know that the least costly place for someone to be is in their home. So why not?
Yeah.
Let's figure it out how we can make home the place where they can receive care. And my vision is a world where home is the center of care. And I think we can do that together. We can do that as health systems. We can do that health plans. We can do that as a community together. I've talked about in the past possibly, intergenerational living where, kids are very much a part of older adults' lives.
Yes.
So I'm optimistic. We're not there yet.
Good.
But we're going to get there. So we've got about 30 seconds. I know that you have personally this weekend, you're going down to Tucson to do the Tour de Tucson.
Yes.
And you're taking your
my 14-year-old son, Bijan.
And is he able to keep up with you?
Question, am I able to keep up with him? So far, so good. We're on par with each other. He did it last 2 years. This is his 3rd year riding. It's going to be 100 miles, and it's one of those great father-son things that this is our tradition.
We should have some good weather, too.
Yes.
So fantastic.
Yes. Thank you so much for everything you're doing, Bob.
Well, thank you, Ben. Thank you for being on the show. And to our engineer, Wes, good luck to ASU this weekend against Oregon. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you.
Well.
Be back next week. Have a great weekend.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
Join certified financial planner Nancy Fleming this and every Wednesday afternoon as she joins me for Financial Review. Nancy and I discuss an array of topics from Social Security, taxes, to what types of obstacles you can and will face in retirement. So join Nancy every Wednesday afternoon at 4:35 for the Financial Review. Want more, Nancy? Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for My Smart Retirement, right here on Money Radio.
Money Radio 1510
and 105.3 FM.
KFNN, Mesa, Phoenix, and K287BX Mesa. No matter what the temperature, it's always cool to be in total charge of your finances. Money Radio will tell you how. Let's check in on the markets. Dow up 135 points at 25,424. S&P up 8 at 2738. And NASDAQ staying flat at the moment at 7258.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin.